1340 96.5 KVGC on the phone. Douglas Viviani from Everything Old is New again. Tonight, he and David Cohen host the little show we call Everything Old is New, or they call Everything Old is New again. What the hell? I'm putting myself in in your gig there, Douglas. Anyway.
Well, I want you to call it Everything Old is New again, too.
Okay. Everything Old is New again. Examining each week our pop culture, where it came from, why it's still popular, and definitely these two guys make radio fun. So, Douglas, good... welcome. Did you have any problems? Yesterday was Friday the 13th. Are you a big Friday the 13th guy?
I didn't even know it was Friday the 13th. That's where I'm at there. So, no, I didn't. How about you? Everything okay? I'm one of those guys that believes you make your own destiny. So if you believe there's going to be bad things happening to you, bad things will happen to you. If you think it's going to be good things will happen to you. Self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Exactly.
I remember being in high school, graduating from elementary, going into junior high school, 7th grade for me. It was a very hard time period in my life, and I was down. It was a hard transition for many reasons. Long story short, my dad said, just act as if you're happy. Smile to people, even if you're not. And you know what? Their smiles and their attitude back will, in turn, change your attitude and change you, and you'll all of a sudden become happier yourself. And believe it or not, that was correct. So it was, I don't know if that's along those lines or not, but it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You got to put yourself in the right position and try to get back from others to lift you up, if that makes any sense.
Exactly.
So there you go. Speaking of lifting up, I don't know if you are familiar, because it's not as big a thing as it was in the day. They just had WrestleMania 34 last weekend. It came and went, and I was a huge wrestling fan back in the day, and I wasn't even aware that they had it. And that led me to look at the HBO special that a documentary has been run on Andre the Giant. Have you seen this?
I have not seen it. JD has told me about it, and he also told me there was a... Have you seen that show 30-30?
No.
30 to 30? It's about sports figures. They did one on Ric Flair.
Okay.
And how Ric Flair... I don't want to take anything away from Andre the Giant, but just very quickly, I'll just fill you in on this. So Ric Flair started off as a normal guy, and basically he ended up becoming Ric Flair. And now the lines are blurred between who the real man is and who Ric Flair is, and he just, the persona of Ric Flair took him over and ruined his life, ruined his marriage, ruined his relationship with his kids. It's actually, you watch it and you go, this is a sad character, man. This is a sad character.
I'll tell you what, I just saw another documentary on Evel Knievel, same exact thing. They say he was a real cool guy in the beginning, down to earth, great buddy you'd want to have, had a team around him, and as he became famous and as he became popular, this persona of being the bravado of being this machismo and so forth, and he cheating on his wife and all these different things that he did, being nasty with people, drinking and just letting the whole thing take him over, spending money hand over fist. And then at the end of the career, when everything went bad because he couldn't jump anymore, he had no more money coming in, and just it all turned on him, just like Ric Flair. And yeah, they both are very similar in that way. And they have had some real tough times after their career's over. Right?
I don't know if you did this on purpose or not, but Razor Ramon used to use that term machismo all the time. Do you remember Razor Ramon?
Absolutely.
Machismo. Hey, machismo. When you're talking wrestling, this is you're on to something here. I was a big wrestling fan. Understood it. It's the same people go, you listen to that Coast to Coast show, and they talk about aliens and there was the guy in the grassy knoll and all these conspiracy theories and this and that, the deep state and blah, blah. Yeah, I listen to it. I'll listen to Rush Limbaugh once in a while. It's entertainment.
Absolutely.
It's
entertainment. It opens your mind to other ideas, even if 1% of it has a scintilla of truth to it. It's there's stuff goes on out there that maybe you can explain, maybe you can't, but it's, like I said, it's entertainment, it's stories, it's fun.
Hey, I don't know about you, but if David, just say in the studio, in the studio today, do this, okay? Tonight when you guys are doing the show,
right.
Have you lay on the floor and have David just get up on a chair and jump down and put an elbow in your throat and see if you get back up again and do the rest of the show.
I'm telling you, we loved wrestling. I used to do the forearm smashes, if you know that.
It's impossible.
Pile drives. You got to be careful on those.
You can't live through this stuff. But that's what makes it good, right? That's what makes it fun.
Exactly, and I think Vince McMahon, you like him or not these days, talk about a guy back in the beginning. He used to just announce, they called it the WWF back then. Back when we're talking about like early 70s or mid 70s, and he then got it. He said, "We're calling it entertainment." I forget what he called it, but the bottom line is entertainment was in the title of what they're calling it now, sports entertainment.
He coined the phrase sports entertainment. Yes,
exactly.
Sports entertainment.
And that resolved all the uses of all the question of is it fake, is it fake, is it fake? And by the way, have you seen all the injuries these guys have gone through their careers? You don't get injured if it's fake. Yeah, it's fake in that they know what's going to happen with the result. Sometimes but they're still doing all these physical activities, acrobatics, and so forth. It used to be. I don't know about now. It used to be such a fun thing. There were some great stories, some defined characters. You could watch it all the time. Hulk was good versus evil. Of course, you had Andre the Giant, who it was so interesting. Andre the Giant was so big in the industry. He would go into the ring, and this is old school. Back even in his day, the 70s and 80s. He would not necessarily, and no one would know who was going to win that match. It was up to him how the match was going, how the fans, he would judge how the fans are liking or not liking his character that day and what he did, and he would determine who's going to win that match or not right then and there in the ring. Now they kind of do it ahead of time, but and have a script and so forth. But he was before his time.
You have to think that match. Everybody says it was the passing of the torch from Hulk to, or from Andre to the Hulk in WrestleMania. Was it WrestleMania 1 or 2 or what? 3, WrestleMania 3. But if you watch that, and I've watched it over and over and over again, and I'm going to tell you another good document. I'm going to tell you a good document. So you got me on a good topic here. Here's another good, and I want to touch on this as one of the best matches too ever. There's a documentary about Bret Hart, and I forget what it's called. I think it's called Ghosts or some. Anyway, it tells the story of the Harts and the Hart Foundation, but of his dad back in Calvary and the whole business in the dungeon and learning to wrestle and all the wrestlers that went through that. But if you see Bret Hart today in this documentary, he also is a broken man. It just so many injuries. But if you watch the video of this, I swear to God, because I watched this live. We bought this on pay-per-view back in the day. Watch this live. I swear to God that Andre jumps up in the Hulk's arms.
Oh yeah, he does a little bit of a hop. Yes, he certainly does. And Andre did it willingly. He didn't like some other characters like Macho Man, Randy Savage. He didn't like wrestling with him. He didn't like wrestling with Big John Studd. But with the Hulk, he recognized it was his time. He was ailing at the time. This is WrestleMania 3. I think it was 87. He was not feeling well. It was at the time he was doing Princess Bride. Passed, I'm going to say within 5 or 6 years after that. And he knew it was his time to move on, and he cooperated with that. But yeah, the Hulk, if you don't remember this, lifted up Andre the Giant over his head and body slammed him. Sounds a lot more than it was in that, Andre did help him a bit with that. But it was an amazing match. I remember that match. I'll remember that match for the rest of my life. Are there any others that you remember? I have got a bunch.
That was the first time. Douglas
Ricky Steamboat against Macho Man Savage in WrestleMania 3 too.
Douglas, that was the first time that Andre the Giant had ever allowed himself to be body slammed.
Interesting.
He had never been body slammed any other time. Hulk is the only guy he allowed to body slam him.
Wow.
So, wow. Yeah, I remember Ricky. Remember Ricky used to get up on the top of the ropes on the ring, and what was that? He used to call it something. He had
and Macho Man started to do that as well.
Yeah.
They both were real acrobatic, especially for their time, right? Running around in that ring, and it was just go back and forth, different moves. They had these great moves. It wasn't just these big lumbering guys like the Hulk was, you know. It was. I thought it was a great match. I really enjoyed that one. Any others come to mind or no?
I think one of the best matches, and it goes down in history, is the match. They call it the screw match, where Bret Hart was leaving. Remember, he was leaving the WWF/E to go to Ted Turner's organization.
Yep.
And he was supposed to win that match, and the ref quick counted, boom, 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 3, and gave it to Shawn Michaels. And remember how mad he was spitting?
Yeah, it happened. I think it was in
happened
Canada.
In Canada, yeah.
Yep. And Vince McMahon was ringside, and I remember Bret Hart literally spitting at him
in his
from
face.
the ring.
Yeah.
Because he had ordered, because of course Vince McMahon ordered that because he says, if this guy's going to my competitor, he's been great with us and so forth, but I don't care. The new up-and-coming star for our industry or our company is Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's going to win and carry the day.
So one of the best matches I ever saw was a match live, and it was the Hart Foundation, okay? Kevin Hart. And not Kevin Hart.
Jim Nine Bill Hart.
Neihart, Kevin Hart. Yeah, Kevin Hart and The Rock. It was the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs. Okay.
Oh yes.
So they're battling, and this is like a match to the death. Okay.
Yeah.
And then later on, like a year or two later, I find out they're all brother-in-laws.
Exactly.
And they all
that was a great one. Tag teams were great too. Where you'd have to hold on to the little. There was a string back in the day. You'd have to hold on to as if you weren't in the ring, and there was always the controversy that the guy's not holding on to the string, or he jumps into the ring. The second competitor jumps into the ring. He shouldn't be in there, and he always blaming the refs. Remember, you always screaming at the refs for not keeping order in the matches.
Listen. If you're ever challenged by anybody, if you and David ever are challenged by someone to a tag team, be sure that you have somebody in your corner, like your manager or your something with you, so they can beat up on the other guys when they're thrown out of there. Because don't ever enter the square circle. If your opponent,
you gotta have Captain Lou Albano or
exactly,
like that
if your opponent has somebody with them, you better get somebody, or you're going to just.
Last one I want to mention, if you remember this, Hulk, when he was a bad guy, came back to the WWF and went up against The Rock. Remember this one?
Yeah.
And eventually, that was one last one where they called it. They didn't know how the fans were going to go with this, and Hulk recognized that the fans were cheering for The Rock more than him. So he let The Rock win that one as well, and that was one of the last real great matches the Hulk was in. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting because now I don't know that it has a persona. It used to be like a Super Bowl. You'd know all about it. Now they have their own station, and the characters are not as built up as defined, at least from what I can tell, and they're not household names anymore. So, I mean, what happened to wrestling?
It just went through a time. I mean, there was a time when I was proud to say, yeah, my son and I sit down. If you told me right now that, Leo and I sit down and watch wrestling every week, I'd say, oh, no there, Douglas. It just got to be too much of a soap opera and too many adult situations, and it just got off.
I agree. You know? It wasn't as fun. Like the Hulk made his name by basically saying, I remember the exact phrase he used to say, but he used to say, eat your vitamins, practice hard, do the right thing.
It was say your prayers, take your vitamins, and train hard.
He was a hero,
Yeah.
But they don't do that anymore. It's like the anti-hero world we're in now, I guess. I don't know. Like John Cena tried to do that, and he was not accepted. The fans didn't embrace him. Maybe his personality, I don't know, but they didn't embrace him. He tried to do basically the same persona as the Hulk, at least is what we just said, and it didn't go over.
So why did the fans take to Stone Cold Steve Austin? Okay, there's kind of like the anti-hero there, but he's the hero, but he's a bad guy, but he beat up the boss, so I like him now, but he really is a bad guy at heart, but he is good. I mean, how do you?
I can only assume a reflection of society.
Think about it. Think about that character. Think about the Steve Austin character.
Yep.
I mean, he ended up being he was booed, but he ended up being very popular. You know.
And The Rock, to me, was one of the last ones, if not the last one, that really went across the board, and everyone knows who he is and so forth. And he was basically an egotistical guy that you'd laugh at, but he, tongue-in-cheek, he would pronounce how great he is all the time, and that was his persona. So it wasn't this teamwork, it wasn't this, I don't know, patriotism or just be a good guy stuff. He was basically an anti-hero, too.
Well, can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
There you go.
What's up with this week's show?
Well, I'll tell you, we've had some special guests there with we had Michelle Cohen in for 4 shows. We just had Hal Linden last week, which was great. And now this week, Angelica Viviani, my 9-year-old, is going to co-host with David Cohen and myself, but she's going to have a word or two to say to a gentleman that you may not recognize, but if you're a fan of cooking and a fan of PBS, you know this gentleman's been on the air for 22 seasons. He now has a new show called Storyteller in the Kitchen, Nick Stellino, and he's going to go through a bunch of recipes. We debated going through and having barbecue guys show up, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Oh, God.
Things may take a real bad turn.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a good idea, especially with Angelica could hold her own with barbecue guy. Barbecue guy and fondue guy babysat them this summer, didn't they?
Exactly. Last summer they babysat the two of them, and they went through junk food. They presented junk food to the kids.
What did you guys do when you came? I bet you your wife was livid. Was she when you guys walked in the door and found out what those knuckleheads had done? Were you pretty upset about it?
We didn't harp on it. I told the kids not to harp on it, so it came and went pretty quick because it was on a Saturday that we did it, and Saturday night my wife and I went out, so I schmoozed over the whole thing. My wife isn't that attuned to exactly what's happening to the show, exactly when. So she found out later on when it was being broadcast, and she listened to it, and the kids are having so much fun that she let it go. If I really harped on it, I'd have been in the doghouse for a while.
All right, one last question for you here, and then we'll wrap it up for the week. If you could get in the ring, who would you want to have as your tag team partner, and who would you want to wrestle against?
Well, I definitely have to say that I would want Hulk Hogan to be my tag team partner for the. No, you know what? I would like The Rock. Would be better.
The Rock.
Either The Rock or Hulk Hogan. I'd say The Rock, and my opponent. Boy, I would like my opponent to be Andre the Giant, and Spiros Arion. Remember him?
No.
He was a horrible Russian character that back in the day beat up on Chief Jay Strongbow.
Okay.
And he was that's a really obscure reference.
No, you're going way back. You're going way back.
Those are my guys. How about you?
You're going way back East Coast wrestling there on us now.
Exactly. Do you remember Chief Jay or no?
Oh yeah.
That would be my thing.
I would probably want to wrestle with the Hulk. Maybe Bret Hart though, because I love Bret Hart. I love his tagline, and I use it a lot. You know, the excellence in execution. Okay,
yes.
And I used to use that a lot when I coached sports. Excellence in execution. If you have that, you'll be a winner all the time. So I like him. Maybe I'd like to go up with. I like the Hulk in the day, not the Hulk of today. Right. And I guess we're talking back in the day. Who would I want? Yeah, so let's go with me and the Hulk, and we'll take on the Macho Man and maybe either Rick Rude or Jake the Snake Roberts.
Nice. How about Stan Stasiak? Remember him with the hard punch?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be one guy. He would grab a hold of your chest where your heart is and squeeze, and allegedly that would stop the blood from flowing, and you'd pass out.
You know who also would be a good guy to have on your corner, and you could bring him up if you wanted, would be God, I can't think of his name now. You know, the goofy guy that's the guy
that ate the belt buckles?
The guy that writes kids books now.
The guy from Long Island. What's his name? With the black hair.
Yeah. I can't even
Foley,
think.
Mick Foley.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, he would stop at nothing to support you.
I want him as my manager. There we go. So, tonight at 6:00, tomorrow night at 6:00, We're going to get in the ring with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen. Everything old is new again. Maybe you ought to reach out to Vince McMahon or anybody.
I have reached out to Bret Hart, and they've responded a number of times that they're interested, but the timing didn't work out. I wanted to keep that under the wraps, but I'm going to keep working at that. And it's a good idea, Vince McMahon, somebody. I like the old-time guys, but any guy I like to get on. It's a great topic.
There we go. Tonight at 6 o'clock, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, the show is Everything Old is New Again. Thank you very much, Douglas Viviani.